A Fox News alert. Overnight, Hamas terrorists releasing the bodies of 4 innocent Israeli hostages brutally murdered after being kidnapped from their houses more than a year ago. Among them, the terrorists say, are the 2 youngest and most recognized victims, Kafir and Ariel Bibas, just 2 and 4 years old, and their mother, Cherie, also coming home to Israel in coffins. Fox News contributor Katie Pavlich has been to Israel since the attacks, and she joins us now. Good morning to you, Katie.
Good morning, Ainsley. Good to see you.
Good morning. Good to see you, too. These were the most recognized victims of the hostage situation. Their pictures were all over New York City. We were all praying for them. And we found out this news. What was your reaction?
Well, it's just a stark and terrible reminder of why this war started on October 7th. You had not Hamas terrorists necessarily kidnapping this beautiful family, but civilians who, when the gates of Gaza were broken down by the terrorists, they entered looking for looting opportunities and found this family and kidnapped them and took them back to the Gaza Strip and held them hostage for 500 plus days. If you look at the ages of these children, one of them is obviously a baby, one is a toddler. Their father, Yarden, on the day of October 7th, went out to fight to save his family. He was also taken hostage and released ahead of this horrific exchange. The Israeli government is exchanging a number of convicted terrorists to get this family back and their bodies back. And of course, we don't want to show it, but Hamas is doing their typical celebration and ceremony today, acting like this is somehow an equal trade. And you have hundreds, if not thousands, of Palestinian civilians lining the streets in Gaza cheering as this is going on.
Yeah, it's hard to
so
watch.
there are still a number of hostages who are still being held, including an American hostage. President Trump's Middle East envoy, Steve Witkoff, will be back in Israel at the end of the week to try and get him out of the Gaza Strip. But it just really goes to show you what these barbaric terrorists are capable of. And taking hostages in this way and killing them is a war crime. And taking children hostage is also a war crime, and there should be consequences for it.
And the man on the right side of the screen, his name is Odin. He was the 4th body that was brought back, and he is 83 years old. I can't imagine what he went through at that age. He and his wife were kidnapped, and his wife was released alive. But the other ones on the screen that you see, they were cheering, and children of Hamas, they were cheering too as the coffins were being given to the Red Cross and then over to the military. And then now their bodies are in Tel Aviv. And the family spoke out and said they really didn't want to comment more until the bodies are tested just to make sure they are identified. But Katie, this is 3 generations because Cherie's parents were killed in their kibbutz on October 7th. Then she was kidnapped. Her husband was kidnapped. She comes back in a coffin, and so do her 2 babies. And so that's 3 generations that have been lost because of evil. When you were there, when you were visiting, you saw their pictures hanging up in the airport, right? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so in the airport in Tel Aviv, they have all of the photos of the hostages on posters. And the Bibas family, they have their posters there as well. And you can see that Cherie and her husband Yarden are on one poster together and their children in the front. And those posters come down when hostages are returned. And these hostages, unfortunately, will not be returned alive. Yarden is now a widower, and his children were murdered by this horrific act of barbarism and terrorism. And I just want to say something about Odin as well, the 4th hostage body who was returned. You know, he spent his life as an Israeli peace activist, driving Gazans to and from Israeli hospitals to help them. And a lot of these kibbutzes, which I've also visited before and after the war started, they are full of people who were trying to have a peaceful solution and living in coexistence. They employed Palestinians in their homes. They drove them to the hospital for medical care. And they are repaid for those good deeds by Hamas terrorists and civilians storming their homes on October 7th, taking them hostage, murdering them, burning them alive, and taking babies like the Kafir children into the Gaza Strip and returning them in a body bag. And so it really just goes to show the depraved nature of the way that these terrorists have behaved, and a number of people inside of Gaza who have been cheering this on for more than a year now.
And sad to know that Israel had to trade terrorists in order to get these babies' bodies back. Thank you so much, Katie.
Yeah.